I want to thank the members of the media for joining us. We are 6 days into the joint investigation of the fire at 745 Main Street. With me today are Fire Commissioner William Ronaldo, Commissioner of the Buffalo Fire Department, John DeVito, Special Agent in charge of the ATF for New York State, and Walter Kemp, who is the branch chief of the National Response Team of the ATF. And Mr. Kemp and his team have been on the ground conducting the investigation with the Buffalo Fire Department, the Buffalo Police Department, State Fire, and we also want to recognize the assistance that we have received from the New York City Fire Department in this investigation. Had the opportunity to speak with firefighter Arno's family again today. They are very thankful for the outpouring of support that they have received from the community, the Buffalo Fire Department, and certainly the Professional Firefighters Union, Local 282. A good portion of today was spent on the planning of the arrangements and services for firefighter Jason Arno. Many city departments were involved and will be involved in that event, which will start Wednesday and conclude Friday. We will have information coming out to the public tomorrow on the services for firefighter Arno. One thing I want to share at this time is that we will have almost 1,000 out-of-towners here for the services. Most of them are firefighters that are coming from other cities across the nation and internationally as well. With that, we expect St. Joseph's Cathedral to be completely filled with Buffalo firefighters and firefighters from out of town. We do not believe at this time that there will be any opportunity for non-family members to be in the church during the funeral. We know that there are a lot of members of the community, the Buffalo and Western New York community, that would like to pay their respects and honor the life and legacy of firefighter Arno. We are asking the public that wants to come downtown for the services to line the processional route from the funeral home to the church. And again, tomorrow we will put out that route information to the media for the public to be able to have that information. So we are 6 days into this investigation. I want to again say a special word of thanks to the ATF for the expertise that they are providing, for the resources that they are providing. It is certainly our goal to get to the bottom of what caused this fire, what caused this tragedy in our city. And I know that the ATF, with our Buffalo Fire Department and other partners, have been working diligently on that. Now I'm going to turn things over to our Fire Commissioner, William Ronaldo, and then we will hear from Branch Chief of the ATF, Mr. Walter Kemp.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. The investigation on Main Street, yes, is continuous and it is ongoing. As you know, we're working in close coordination and cooperation with a number of agencies, including the ATF, State Fire, FDNY, and of course our own Fire Investigation Unit from the Buffalo Fire Department. So it is a slow, methodical, painstaking operation, but with the goal of determining the cause and origin of the fire. So, and the safety of our workers, our partner agencies, are our primary concern, and that's why it is taking maybe a little longer as we go through the process. A large amount of area has been covered already. A number of interviews have been conducted as well. So we are making progress. Later on in the week, we're looking at bringing in some heavy machinery to move some of the heavier debris and to move the process along and uncover some of the evidence or possible evidence that's underneath that debris. So also I wanted everyone to know that the operations will be suspended on Friday out of respect for the family and to give our partner agencies an opportunity to participate in the celebrating Jason's life on Friday in the proceedings. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Branch Chief Walter Shaw, and he's going to give you some additional information. Thank you.
Thank you for having us again today, and again, thank you for the continued support of our state and local partners in this investigation. So as the Commissioner said, this is day 6 of our investigation. We've come a long ways. However, from the exterior, you may not be able to realize that. What's going on as we speak is an excavation of the first level and the basement level of the structure. As we spoke before, that structure was built around 1900, so it has some unique building construction characteristics, and we have to mitigate some hazards as we go along. However, we have completed over 100 interviews, taken out several items of evidence where we want to look at those items a little bit further to determine certain things. We've created a computer fire model with the assistance of our fire research lab in Ammendale, Maryland, of fire progression and fire growth within the structure to help us more determine where the origin of the fire may have been. As they alluded to earlier, tomorrow we intend on employing some heavy equipment at the rear of the structure to demolish a wall and to gain access to a now covered area of debris. We would like to excavate that debris and look underneath to see if there's anything that we need to take a closer look at. So these scenes, again, are lengthy, but we do see an end in sight. We are more than halfway through with what we want to do in the scene. So we'll continue to work methodically and using the scientific method with all of our partners and all of our resources of the National Response Team to try to determine what exactly happened there.
And Mr. Shaw, I want to apologize. I think I called you Walter Kemp. I do know a Walter Kemp in the city of Buffalo. He is not here. This is Walter Shaw, the branch chief of the National Response Team of the ATF. We'll now open up for any questions that the members of the media have. Dave?
Mitigate some hazards.
Sir?
Be a little more specific.
Certainly.
What's the hazard in there you need to mitigate? How do you do it?
Sure. So that building was built around 1900. It's a brick masonry exterior with some heavy timber flooring that are situated in joist pockets on the interior of the masonry walls. So essentially, when those flooring members become impinged by fire, they collapse suddenly. And so we had to make sure that those were shored up, and that was done in part by the resources provided by the New York Fire Department. They came up and took a look at the scene to make sure what needed to be shored up and what was safe and what was not safe. And then the Buffalo Fire Department used their shoring unit to come up and support the basement level and the first level so that we could actually go inside.
Can you at all give us an indication? You said you interviewed over 100 people. Can you give us just kind of a generic of where they come from, who they are?
Certainly. So first and foremost, we interview the first responding firemen to get their first-hand accounts of fire conditions and what was going on with the building at the time of the fire. We interviewed the 911 caller. We interviewed the workers that were on scene doing some work at that time. We, of course, interviewed the owner and the building owner. We interviewed the gas and electric company providers to see if there were any history of any issues with the building itself. And we're continuing to do neighborhood canvases to collect any video that may show events leading up to the fire and after the fire so that we can create an accurate timeline of the fire events.
What types of things are you looking for inside to help this investigation?
Sure. We've looked inside there as you know, that's a costume shop that will primarily encompass the space, and they utilize all sorts of equipment, such as iron presses, heat cutters, things like that to cut fabric. So we look at all these things to see if they may have contributed to the fire calls accidentally, and to see what their situation is with those different pieces of equipment. We've also utilize an accelerated detection canine, for example. It's just a common routine thing that we do, and the dog has ran the structure several times. And so we're looking for anything that stands out as fire calls, and then what we do, our next step is try to either eliminate or include that fire calls as something that contributed to the fire.
Can you confirm that JP Contracting of Western New York was the company that was working in the building or on the building when the fire broke out?
I'm sorry, I don't have that with me right now, the name of the company.
Do you guys know?
I did hear that name and that term of that subcontractor or contractor, but I can't confirm that at this time.
Okay,
Are there
and
any
we were
criminal
working.
charges against them or against the building's owner because of the lack of having a permit with this situation?
It's actually way too early in the investigation. We're not sure what permits were required or if any permits were required and by whom. So it's too early in the investigation to determine that.
You had mentioned it earlier on, a kind of early working theory that perhaps these workers with the torch may have set the blaze off. Are we still kind of working on that theory?
There are a number of theories, as Walt alluded to. So we're eliminating them slowly but surely, and as we go along. And right now, we have not determined the cause and origin. So the investigation is continuing.
Is there any indication at this point that there was some sort of old insulation or anything involving the materials within the walls of the building that would have led the fire to spread quickly through the walls or anything like that? Is there any more information specifically about the cause of the firefighter staff?
As far as the fire communicating throughout the building, there are a number of voids in the building where fire could have traveled. So once again, that's part of the ongoing investigation.
Mayor, I know you said on Saturday that you were clarifying what work was being done, and how long will we know, when you know that from the permits department, that there wasn't a permit?
So that's all part of the investigation, and the plan is to release all that information when the investigation is concluded, not to release bits and pieces of information. I think Branch Chief Shaw can tell you that good progress is being made, and we're hopeful that the investigation will be concluded soon.
How determined are you, or how, do you think you can actually determine a cause, depending on how much damage there was, how long the fire burned, are you confident?
So this structure did sustain prolonged burning, which affects a lot of different fire patterns and things that we're looking at. But we are very hopeful that we will find a specific cause to the fire. Yes, sir.
How's the timeline coming along? Because what we've heard is that things sort of escalated really quickly. Is that what you're finding in this investigation from when firefighters arrived to when firefighter Arno pressed his Mayday button? Was it that quick, or was there something else that maybe could have been done? Was there a step missed?
Thank you. To that question, I don't think we've released it yet, but evacuation orders were issued prior to that firefighter Arno pressing his Mayday button. So the command staff on scene did recognize the imminent danger, and they did order an evacuation, and the Mayday came some minutes later.
Some minutes, sir?
Yeah, a little over a minute.
Anyone else? No, I was just going to say, again, is there any more specific information on exactly what the cause of firefighter Arno's death is? Was it a result of like a roof collapsing on him, a floor collapsing on him, a roof collapsing on him? Or?
If you're talking about autopsy results, we're waiting for the ME's determination, official determination.
You don't have any sense right now as to what it would cost?
No, we do know he had a level of carbon dioxide in his body and some other information, but we're not releasing it at this time.
You mentioned over 1,000 out-of-town firefighters are coming in for this service. What has the external support meant to you and your department and mayor, to the city for this event and, the past 12 months that we've been dealing with?
Well, the support has been overwhelming, from the community, obviously, and from on a national level as well. And I believe there's 1,000 hotel rooms rented, so we're actually looking at possibility of up to 4,000 or 5,000 out-of-town guests coming in on Thursday and Friday.
I'll speak to that too. Clearly, firefighting is a brotherhood and a sisterhood. It's a calling. The outpouring of support from fire departments nationally and internationally certainly is very comforting. To have that many people traveling to our community to pay their respects to hero firefighter Jason Arno means a great deal to our fire department, our city, and certainly to the family.
Not just with the firefighters that are coming in from all over the country and even from like Canada per se, but also just the people that continue to pour their support into the Venmo that's been set up, the GoFundMe pages. I mean, they're approaching, $250,000, especially with the GoFundMe page. It's just, that can't be surprising in terms of just the people of this community continuing to give their hearts and give everything that they can to show support for not only the Arno family, but for the entire Buffalo Fire Department.
It's not surprising. This is a great community, particularly during difficult times. This community always comes together to help other community members, to support other community members. So it is certainly heartwarming to see the tremendous outpouring of support from Buffalo and Western New York, but also from other areas of the country as well.
You meant, on that note, even the president yesterday mentioned firefighter Arno. Have you received support nationally and federally in this case?
We have heard from many statewide, national elected officials. The president's office has called a number of times. The governor's office has been in touch with us. Governor Hochul directly has been in touch with us. We've heard from members of the state legislature, of course. So the outpouring of support has been significant.
And how's the family doing and the folks at Engine 2?
As I said, it's a wonderful family. They're a very close-knit family. This is difficult, but the family is pulling together, supporting each other. And members of our fire department have been with the family every single day, including members of Engine 2 and Rescue 1. Jason Arno, and I'll let the commissioner elaborate on this, worked not only in Engine 2, but prior to that worked in Rescue 1 as well. So these are firefighters, these are colleagues, these are brothers and sisters that know him well, that he worked with, and have a deep love and concern for him and his family. Commissioner.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. And yes, and as you really peel back the layers of Jason's life, you really get a little more insight on him as an individual and what he brought in. Everything we learned about him and know about him tells you, his life could have took a lot of different directions, but he chose public service. He chose to work with the Buffalo Fire Department and serve the community. So he could have been successful in many other careers. We know that for sure. So, and another thing I want to mention is that, he's a young firefighter. He was working at one of our 3 busiest engine companies in the Buffalo Fire Department. Engine 2 goes over in excess of 3,000 runs a year. So that's a lot of fire calls, motor vehicle accidents, incidents of all types, EMS. So he chose, and he made a conscious decision to work at one of the busiest companies in the Buffalo Fire Department. And that says a lot about him as a firefighter and as a person.
We've heard it over and over again that I shouldn't say most, but a lot of the firefighters in your department haven't gone through something like this. How do you continue to support, and what do you continue to say to them?
All we can do is say, hey, the train doesn't stop, for one thing, because one incident follows another. While we're here at this press conference, a number of calls have come in, a number of calls will continue to come in, and at some point you just got to get back up on your horse. And the best tribute you could pay to Jason is to get back up on that horse and to do the things that he did in his career and emulate him.
I know that more details about the services for Thursday and Friday are going to be coming out tomorrow, I think you said, Mayor, but just, with that many people coming in and that many people showing support for Jason Arno and his family. Are there any sort of alternative plans that are being talked about right now in terms of more of a public support where people can come and show their support and their love for the Arno family?
Firefighter Arno's family has consented for the services to be televised, so the services will be televised. The public can show their support and pay their respects through seeing the services televised. As has been mentioned, there are GoFundMe pages. The community has been very supportive of those. Obviously, Firefighter Arno was recently married, has a young child, and so that will be helpful to the family. I can't say enough good things about the outpouring of support from Buffalo and Western New York. We are recommending that people who will be out that want to show their support can also line the streets of the procession route from the funeral home to the church on Friday, and that information will be put out. I would also like to just recognize the efforts of the Buffalo Fire Department and Buffalo Professional Firefighters Local 282 in providing counseling for the members of the fire department, and the commissioner and his management team have also provided time off for members of our fire department who need it.
And what kind of preparations has the city been making in terms of preparing for that large influx of people coming in to be here for Thursday and Friday?
The preparations have been very extensive between Buffalo Police and Buffalo Fire, other agencies, New York State Police, the Erie County Sheriff's Department, the NFTA Police. So the preparations that are being made have been extensive. They have been thorough. And I want to thank all of the agencies that have been involved in that exceptional level of preparation for the large influx of people that will be in Buffalo Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
This question is for Chief Shaw. Do you know, when you say soon, wrapping up your investigation, are you anticipating that might be this week, next week? Do you have a more specific time frame in mind?
I think we will definitely be working into next week. We have to have a conclusion around that time.
Can you say, did the accelerant dogs that were on the scene, were they the ones that found the evidence that you mentioned finding?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Did the accelerant dogs, were they the ones that were able to find that evidence you were looking for when they walked around the building?
What evidence are you mentioning? I'm sorry. What evidence was it?
You mentioned that you removed some of the materials.
Oh, so we just took some of the building materials that was involved in the fire on the side of the building, but no, they didn't play a role in that. I'm sorry. Yes.